So it's August 5th, 2021, and I'm going to call this Lacey City Council meeting to order. And we'll get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States
and to the republic
for which it
stands
nation,
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
indivisible,
and
liberty
justice
for all. Amen.
So we have a published agenda and consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve both?
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda as published.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? And that motion carries, and we've approved the agenda and the consent agenda items for today's meeting. We had one written public comments, or two written public comments, but we didn't have anyone signed up for oral public comment tonight. I think we had a youth council member signed up, but we're gonna get to them here very shortly. And so we'll go right into our next agenda item, which is resolutions. And I do think, Dave's here, and I know he's prepared a resolution and an ordinance today. I do think last time this council talked, we were hoping to meet back in person and back at City Hall and go back to our regular scheduled times. Talking to the other jurisdictions in Olympia, and I think Tamar and Thurston County is basically saying now is probably not, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. Olympia is going back to meeting in online only. And I would hate for us to switch and then also have to switch back. And so it's sort of my recommendation, and spoke to the city manager about this, that we just unfortunately wait another 30 days and re-examine this and see how we're doing 30 days from now. I hope that's the consent of the rest of the council, but that Deputy Mayor, and then when you do talk to Dave, saying maybe there are some things within this resolution that we could pass right now, but Deputy Mayor, you have anything to say?
Well, that's my question. I totally agree with you. I think given what is happening, we need to probably stay online right now. But section, I want to say 3, was about carryout bags, and the issue I had about that is it's not quite accurate anymore, because grocery stores are again allowing carryout bags. Plus, the state has eliminated single-use bags. So I'm wondering if we should just delete the whole section so we aren't in conflict.
Let's turn this over to our city attorney and see what he suggests going forward.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon or evening, council. Deputy Mayor, that's a good point. You'll note there's another section in the resolution that I struck just because it's irrelevant at this point, and the plastic bags would be another example of that. Having said that, there's no need to take any action tonight if council wants to address this again in 30 days. That language isn't harming anything at this point. The only thing I think council may want to consider is whether council wants to amend the meeting time. That action could be taken by ordinance, and then as long as the resolution wasn't affected, council would still be meeting at 4 p.m. for the foreseeable future. Or we could just push the whole thing down. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I still think we should meet at 4 o'clock. That's what people expect us to meet when we're online. And until we go back in person, we should continue to meet at 4 o'clock. So whatever's the easiest way to do that, Dave, I'm for.
Well, if council supports that, the easiest way would just, I just won't have anything else to say, and then we'll just push this off 30 days or so until it comes back on the agenda.
Scott?
Yeah, I just add, I think the question before council is, do you want to remain at status quo? If you do, then nothing needs to occur. If you don't, then we can go through the different pieces, one, the resolution as well as the ordinance.
And I get a head nod at status quo. I mean, I just feel like we need to be at status quo for another 30 days. Trust me, I don't like
I do
this.
have a,
But
you got
Councilmember
my head
Stebbins,
on, but I have a comment too.
go ahead, Councilmember Stebbins.
You know, I think we should keep in mind flu season, which, you know, COVID is a virus, is fall time. So we may want to consider through the fall. Now, I'm in favor of a hybrid meeting, but I think being council members and public officials, we need to be also good examples to the public. We have the capability, innovation, you know, whether Ed likes it or not, of going to meetings remotely. They can write in, they can do whatever, they can even go to City Hall. But some people choose not to, and that's okay too. You can choose to go, you can choose not to go. They're both okay. That's my take on it.
Councilmember Greenstein, and we'll go to Ed.
Well, I would just say, I mean, I would be opposed to doing it through the fall. I mean, we've never, in my 10 years on council, and I don't think before that, we ever canceled in-person meetings for flu season. So I'd be strongly opposed to that. I personally would like to get back to in-person meetings, but if it's the council's desire to continue doing this, I do think even when we go back to in-person, it's going to be hybrid. So we'll still have both options. And I think that should continue for, you know, infinitely as far as I'm concerned. I think we should always have this option for both council members and for the public. But, you know, my preference would be get back into chambers, but I'm fine with, you know, whatever the decision of council on this.
Councilmember Kunkel.
Just dovetailing what Lenny had just stated, we can do a hybrid, and I do believe that we need to be open to the public. I think what we're doing right now is not being equitable to our community, sitting behind a computer screen like this for the foreseeable future. And I do believe that we need to change the time so that more people can be involved and be engaged in what we're doing. So I'm opposed to postponing this public meeting and continuing on Zoom. I think we should be thinking about getting back to public.
Deputy Mayor?
So I want to address the time slot. I know you said we should continue at 4 because everyone assumes it's going to be 4 now. I wonder if it makes it more equitable for people to at least Zoom in and listen and comment if it's at a later time. And we have this opportunity now to change the time from 4 to, I think we suggested 6 earlier, but I'm just throwing that out for discussion right now. I'm not making a motion.
So I just think we need I would love to get back in, but I do think we need a second example. And I just think we need to just re-examine at the end of the month. I think we just keep it status quo for right now. So it's, and we'll reassess here at the end of August for September. I just think that's the smartest way, that we don't change anything right now. That's just my 2 cents. Councilmember Cox.
I agree with the mayor. I think ultimately the 6 o'clock is where we're going, but I think we need to pair the time change with the location format change. But I think Olympia just had the experience of having gone to, returning to City Hall, having their, and they had what, 1 or 2 meetings, and then boom, they had to pull back. And I think that sets a bad message. I think we're much better off watching, making, we've got rising number of cases. Our incidence level is much higher than it should be. The state says it should be about 2% of the people tested, and it's up around 16%. And that's a scary number. So I think we would be wise to hold off for a month and see where we are. And also, I'd like to see us get some advice from the county health officer and or the director of the county health department about proceeding.
Well, like I said, I really think we just need to hold off and reassess for next month. That's my recommendation.
I think it's clear the direction of council, so I think we should just move on. It's clear that we should wait. I mean, it's certainly that if we went through the whole process of the resolution, the outcome's the same. So why not just keep on moving?
Okay, then we won't take up.
Hey guys,
yes.
I think we need to also take into consideration. And I'm totally fine with a hybrid, but we also have employees that work from home that would otherwise have to come in, and we need to keep them in mind too, because maybe we should poll our employees too to see. There's a lot of factors other than just how we feel.
That's why I think we just need to be status quo for it, and we'll reassess it in the month. And hopefully these numbers start changing and we can get back in as soon as possible. So I think it is the wish of this majority of this council that we won't take up the resolution for the ordinance today. And so thank you, Dave. Appreciate all the hard work, but I know they're ready to go for when we need it. So we will then go straight into the mayor's report. I'm really excited to be able to have several members of our youth council who went through the application process. This is officially going to be our third year of youth council, but our first year we barely got started and we hit COVID, and then all last year was a COVID year, and so it did allow us to sort of reassess things, and we made some changes, and so we have actually expanded our youth council membership as our council knows, and there's actually going to be a little bit of change in direction of how we've done in the past, and I think it's all great things. And we had a really wonderful interview process, and there are just some amazing young men and women who are willing to step up and serve the city of Lacey. And if we can get them to come in each, one at a time and introduce themselves, I'd really appreciate this. I don't think they're all here tonight, but I think there's 8 from what I've heard that are here tonight. And so we'll have them come on and introduce each one of them, and then at the end I'll make a motion. Deputy Mayor, do you have something? You're on mute.
Just point of order, I do think we needed to make sure we vote on it. I wasn't sure if that was clear.
Yeah, I will vote on it at the end here. And so let's hopefully bring them in one at a time, and they'll introduce themselves to us. We have that list. If you can unmute yourself and maybe turn on your video and just let us know who you are. This doesn't look like it's working. About try to bring someone else in. Well, sometimes our best laid plans don't always happen here. We had 13 people that I will be recommending that will be on the 2021-2022 Lacey Youth Council, and those members are Leah Markland, Alejandra Linares, Declan Line, Justin Begley, Lance Blackburn, Cadence husband, Rihanna Joseph, who just came on. If you could unmute yourself, Rihanna, can you just introduce yourself? And say where you're from.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rihanna Joseph. I'm a junior at River Ridge High School. This is my first year on Lacey Youth City Council. I've been living in Lacey for 2 years. My family was brought here by the military, and I'm excited to work with everybody here and learn.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Welcome.
See if we can try to bring each one else in. Maybe if we bring them all in, and I can at least
Mayor,
see
all
it.
the youth council members in attendance are on the Zoom.
Okay, well then, I can't, unfortunately, I can't see everyone. But let's, oh, here we go. I can see some more. How about Ryan? Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Ryan Hill, and I am going in my sophomore year at North Thurston High School. And I've lived in Lacey and Olympia for my whole life. And I'm super excited to get to work with you guys, just like Rihanna said, and learn the process and everything that you guys do and serve however I can.
Great.
Go Rams.
How about Romeo?
Hi, I'm Romeo. I'm a sophomore at Timberline, and I'm also really excited to be able to do this. It was a really fun thing that I'm also excited to do with one of my teammates, Declan. We both play soccer at Timberline, so it's a good experience to share with each other.
Great, and let's go to Declan then.
Hi, my name is Declan. I'm going to my senior year at Timberline. Of course, I play soccer, and I'm the captain of the Timberline soccer team. And this is my first year doing this, and I'm really excited to get started.
Great, thank you. How about Abigail?
Go Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Abigail. I'm gonna be a sophomore at North Thurston, and I've lived in Lacey for about a year now. I moved here last summer from Germany, and I'm really excited to work with everybody.
Great. How about Sarah?
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm going to be a sophomore at North Thurston, and I've lived in Lacey for 2 years. And I'm just really excited to be working with everyone and just make a difference where I can.
Thank you. Nathan.
I'm Nathan Miller. I'm going to be a junior at Pope John Paul II High School. I've lived in Lacey for pretty much my entire life, and I'm excited to get to work here.
Thank you. And our returning council member, Layla. Go ahead. Uh-oh. I think she's frozen up there. Maybe if you could just turn off. Well, I'm not sure if we quite got everyone, but there's a whole list of all your council members that's on our agenda tonight. I think, does everyone have the list? Okay, so it's gonna be my motion that we appoint the council members listed to the Lacey Youth Council for the 2021-2022 school year. Can I have a second?
Second it.
So moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Deputy Mayor.
I just want to say, while I was there for the interviews and stuff, these are just really fine, enthusiastic students, and I'm really looking forward to having them on our council and working with them. So I was just very impressed with them.
Thank you. So, Councilmember Conkle.
Yeah, good luck to all the students. Thank you for your participation and your commitment to being on the Youth Council. And I hope you learn a lot about civic responsibility. And I hope that this experience is a great one for you. And all of us are here to answer questions as you go. And best of luck to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. It's going to be a real exciting year, and I know they're going to be jumping right into it. And they have a really packed school year, but it's gonna be really great. And I know they're all going to do great things. So we have a We have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, can you please signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Then the motion is carried, and we have our new 2021-2022 Lacey Youth Council. Congratulations, everyone. And we'll be I'll be talking to you guys real soon. See ya.
Thank you for your willing.
Great. Now that we're through that, our next agenda item. Well, let's go to city manager. Do you have anything to report?
No report.
Okay, then we'll go to the standing and general committees, the community relations and public affairs committee.
Thanks, Mayor. We met on July 6th at 11 a.m. Myself, Councilmember Cox and Councilmember Kunkel were present. And it was a one item agenda, the Gold Star Memorial proposal. Jerry Wilkins, board member on the Gold Star Memorial Foundation, briefed the committee on the Gold Star Memorial. The memorials are reflective of the community's Gold Star families whose loved ones have made a great sacrifice for our country. The memorial would be located at Lacey Civic Plaza Park, and the estimated cost is $100,000 to complete. The Gold Star Memorial Foundation of Lacey was founded in 2019. We have raised over $31,000 for the completion of the Lacey Monument. Fundraising efforts continue, including the sale of memorial bricks to be placed at the base of the monument. The committee agreed to forward to a future work session on ways of how we can continue to fundraise and make this monument reality. Other than that, that is my report.
Great, thank you. Then we'll go straight into standing our boards, commissions, committee reports. I'm up first, and I do not have a report. How about Deputy Mayor?
For Lot and Olympic Region Clean Air Agency, they have not met yet, but Joint Animal Services Commission met August 2nd, and we had an update on the volunteer program assessment to evaluate the effectiveness of JAS in the following dimensions: perceptions of the organization, perceptions of volunteer work, interpersonal perceptions, and constraints. And of the categories, the organization received fairly high marks. There were some weaknesses noted. The most common response was due to COVID-19 restrictions. Also, lack of communication between volunteers. And this is most likely in response to COVID, but it's not clear in the comments. And then the second most common response were about the age, size, condition of the building, which, as you probably know, is getting very old and needing a whole lot of upgrades to make it more functional. We also had an update on online statistics showing some small changes, but clarified how they relate to what has been kept by our Humane Society representative. And we then had a briefing on the increasing cat population on 14th Way in Lacey. All but one neighbor is working with JASCOM and feline friends, trapping and spaying and neutering the cats. Those that can't be adopted are neutered and then released back out. The executive director also answered questions about online licensing, which is now available, and how you can tell what the manufacturer is for chips that have been implanted. Apparently, the first 3 or 4 letters are the company name, and Sarah will put the manufacturer list on the website to help folks. Also, it isn't necessary to input the chip numbers to the license to be able to license your pets. And you can always go back and update the information after you register the information. And then lastly, we discussed the recommended process for placing 2 JASCOM representatives. Through an intergovernmental agreement, that JASCOM was established as the policy-making body for JAS, and it consists of the following members: 1 member for the Board of County Commissioners, 1 elected official for each city of Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater, 1 member selected by the Thurston County Humane Society, and And then one member appointed by JASCOM who is a licensed veterinarian residing or practicing in Thurston County, which is currently not filled. And then one optional member selected by a nonprofit organization based in Thurston County with shared animal welfare priorities. Such nonprofits shall be selected by members of JASCOM. And this was a new appointed position added, and it is not filled yet. The seventh position was added earlier this year while revising the IGA. The last appointment to JASCOM was made over 10 years ago with the addition of Dr. Kristen Ripka, who is now stepping down. And with this change, JAS staff would recommend the following steps: to recruit and appoint current and future positions not recommended by the jurisdictions. JASCOM, the jurisdictions, and JAS will solicit for the open positions, asking interested applicants to provide a letter of interest and qualifications. For the veterinarian position, it is recommended that a CV or resume be provided. Staff would collect and review candidates and recommend the top 2 for JASCOM to review. JASCOM would interview top candidates and vote. And then the board suggested that we have at least one veterinarian on the review of candidates for a veterinarian representative. So we have an expert to help with review. The executive director will help with our assistant city manager to start the process based on our discussion. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report is for the Regional Housing Council meeting of July 28th. 2 significant decisions from that meeting. One was an agreement to, RHC can't contract, but recommend that the county contract with Community Solutions, the Built for Zero program, which is a program that helps communities address homelessness. It provides support it provides coaching, it provides peer training, it helps improve data collection. And that's important because part of the training is using data to drive decisions, goal setting, and the like. And the goal is ending homelessness to what's called a functional 0 level. And that translates to everyone in at least some sort of shelter. So Providence has agreed to be the fiscal sponsor, and Thurston County would be the signer of the agreement on that. It coincides with the 5-year homeless plan. And so it would be, once we sign the agreement, then it would be automatically renewed every 12 months for 5 years. We also voted to recommend to county commissioners that they pursue all funding sources for housing, and that's housing from basic emergency shelters to just the whole gamut, up to and including a countywide home fund. So permanent supportive housing was the one I was trying to get to.
So before we go any further on this, this council hasn't talked about $1,509, which is I think what you're suggesting here. And so I'm not sure how the housing authority has made a motion to move that forward without each of the councils weighing in on that. Councilmember Greenstein?
I just wanted to bring up that I brought up that exact point at the meeting, that I thought it was inappropriate for that motion to be made at this time when our councils had no conversation on it. And I think it's very important that every council member remember that we represent this council when we're sitting on these interjurisdictional committees and not our own personal beliefs. And I think we need to have some serious discussion about that at the council level, because that, to me, that's exactly what happened at that meeting. This was never discussed with council. There was no input from council. And here, our council member actually made a motion to approve, to have the county go forward with a home fund, which would tax the people of Lacey without us even having a conversation about it. I just think we have to really work on how we're handling interjurisdictional committees.
Well, I definitely think we need to have a conversation about the home fund, that 1509 fund. We haven't obviously had that conversation yet with the council, and we definitely can go from there. Councilmember Cox.
Well, I'm sorry if people feel like I got out a little bit ahead of the council on this, but I think I need to remind everybody that the Regional Housing Council is an advisory group. And it's just that. This is a recommendation to county commissioners. And the chair of the county commission has made it very plain that he will be, engaging with all of us. And I would encourage our council to perhaps set up, maybe at our very next study session, a conversation about the countywide home fund. I don't think the commissioners are going to be acting right away because there is another funding source that just came out of the last legislative session, and they want to make sure that we're not overlapping or having conflicting things. So again, it's a recommendation and it's an advisory body, but
well, we can definitely talk about that and talk about. I mean, I know there's a lot of moving parts here, but there's a lot of dollars right now in the system, including American Recovery Act plan dollars, and I should point out this last legislative session, there's additional dollars. Heck, we haven't even spent the other dollars that we have, for affordable housing. So, until we get a plan, and everyone who I've talked about 1509, I've always said, hey, I want to see the plan first. I want to see how every single dollar is going to be spent before I can go forward. So, I mean, that's where I've always stood.
Well, one other thing, if I could add one more point, part of the reason for the timing of the vote is that if the county acts to approve this by mid-October, then collections could start in January. And this could bring, I think, easily $1 million a year to the table to address the very things that you're talking about. And so by waiting further.
That's why the full council needs to have that discussion. If the full council had a discussion and said, hey, you should recommend that on behalf of the city of Lacey, we should go forward. That's one thing. But we haven't had that conversation yet. So I do think we should put on a work session as soon as possible.
I agree.
We can go from there. I've let the chair of the county commissioner know that until I see a plan, I wasn't. And Council Mayor Pete Kmet was on the same page. We want to see all the different revenue sources and everything laid on the table before we go another step. So let's make sure we get to a work session and so we can have a longer, better conversation with us. Scott?
So maybe just is a suggestion to have a discussion, I guess, in September about 1590, or what's the desire of council?
Whenever you can fit it into a work session, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anyone else have anything to offer? Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there, but I just felt I needed to say my 2 cents.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to report?
Nope, that was the end of it.
Thank you. Councilmember Greenstein.
All right, so I just have one report today. EMS Medic 1 met on July 21st. Couple of things. As you know, if you were watching the elections this week, the levy lid lift looks to be passing with somewhere in the mid 60%, 63%. So that looks pretty solid. That was one of the topics of this last meeting. So I think that'll be the last time we need to discuss that one. But a couple of other things. Excuse me?
And that's a big, heavy lift. I know I was a part of that, a couple years ago when you were the alternate, and we keep switching back and forth. But I know how big of a lift that was, how much work that was. Good job, because, there's a real, the services are needed. So I just want to say thanks for your hard work.
Was there a minimum vote count needed for that to pass?
No, they didn't. There were no thresholds, but they would have been, I think they would have made it anyway, but no, there weren't any in this case.
Great.
A couple other things. Something just that I want to throw out there, because I think this is something the public probably is not very aware of, but probably needs to be. We have a serious issue going on here countywide and actually all up and down the I-5 corridor. And I've talked about it in the past with the hospital being, just too crowded, too full. We've run into situations over the last few months where we've had ambulances show up to the hospital and literally take up to 4 hours to transport a patient from the ambulance into the hospital. 4 hours. That means that vehicle, that transport is off the road for that time period. And it's because the hospital is so full. So Providence is a 46-bed ER that's operating right now as a 96-bed. They have 50 beds in the hallways at Providence in the emergency room. Capitol's in the same situation, much smaller. It's about I believe it's an 8-bed emergency room, and they're operating 4 additional beds. So they're operating on 12 beds in their 8-bed room. So, and I bring that up just so that people are aware of the situation that we have. We now have Medic One employees, so EMTs, actually working at the hospital. They've actually set up a place for them where when the ambulance gets there, they can transport the patient off of the ambulance to other Medic One employees, not to the hospital, to hold them until the hospital is ready for them so that that ambulance can get back into service. So I just want to throw it out there because I want the people to be aware of the situation we have with medical care right now. And it really is reaching a crisis situation. And the only solution that I can see long-term here is we are probably in desperate need of another hospital in this community. So I'll leave it there for now. Other things of importance, there's also a lot of concern among our fire agencies and our paramedic units regarding some of the new legislation regarding police. They're very concerned about safety and the safety of some of the calls they go on and the scenes that they're called to without being able to necessarily have police presence there where they feel it's necessary in many cases. So that's another thing that's really on top of mind right now for all of our fire agencies and our first responders. That is my report for now.
Thank you. Councilmember Miller. I can't hear you. I can't hear him.
He's showing that he's unmuted, but it shows he's unmuted.
Uh-oh. Sorry, buddy. You know what? You're gonna have to give your report next time. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I heard you.
Yeah. It's just your volume down really low.
Turn your volume all the way up.
Okay.
There you go.
Starting from the top, LTAC, Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, has met twice since my last report, once on July 14th and again on August 3rd.
Can you turn your volume up just a little bit more?
Sure. How about now? Is that better? Are you getting me?
No.
I can yell into the microphone if that helps.
I don't know what's going on. Just try to speak as loud as possible, I guess. You went the wrong direction.
No? Okay, better or not at all?
Yeah, a little bit better.
A little bit better.
Better.
Okay, I'm gonna proceed, and hopefully you guys, because I've got the microphone all the way up. So I apologize. This is a brand new computer. Okay, LTAC has met twice since my last report, and once on July 14th and again on August 3rd, both meetings at 4 o'clock. I'll sum up both of those meetings. We do have a committee vacancy that we are trying to fill, and we'll be looking to fill that spot. We were able to lift the application stoppage, the application ban that we put in place late 2020. And so applications will be going out, I believe, tomorrow, after we added some verbiage that states that if we get shut down again, we will not be able to honor applications. And so we were looking to Dave, city attorney, to make that verbiage and get those applications out there. We will be reviewing applications next month so that we can fund different projects. And so Troy Wu was able to give us a revenue presentation. Things are looking good. Revenues have been up, which is good for LTAC. So we are looking to funding some good activities in the year 2021. The TRPC had its annual retreat since my last report. This is kind of a sharpening of the mission, the goals, and these types of things. We did come to draw some conclusions about the work that TRPC is doing, and we all kind of agreed that the community does not know enough about what TRPC is and what TRPC does. And so we'll be looking to push out information so that we can get more community awareness and more community support. And that is my report.
Great, thank you. Don't have to love new computers. Councilmember Stedman.
Thank you, Mayor. Hopefully the jet skis and boats and people aren't too loud in the background. But I only have one report in this Community Action Council. The 28th of last month at 5:30. Some big developments was both our CEO John Walsh and CFO Brian Sanda both rendered their resignations, and since then we have hired Kristen York, who was the director of housing, I believe it was before, as the new CFO. She was an intern for a little bit, and then also people might be familiar with Ursula Uller. She used to be the finance director in Tumwater, city of Tumwater. Very great at finances and stuff like that. She is our intern CFO. She was in retirement and came to help out the organization because, of course, she knows a lot about it and dealing with the city of Tumwater for decades, and she knows how important it is, and so she's helping every way she can. Other than that, we notable things on the meeting is the housing department is they're doing over $1 million, directing over $1 million per week to people for assistance with housing and rental and mortgages and such, to the tune of, I believe it's nearly $17 million the last year plus. So, that's real money, real working real hard for people that are struggling this last year and a half. So it's making a tremendous impact for people that would otherwise be homeless, pretty much. So that was significant, and they're short people too. They've lost employees, and they've gained a couple back, but I mean that's the work extent. They're doing literally 150 times more work with less people than they did in years past, with all these big changes that are happening. So other than that, it's probably not surprising, but we have a few audits coming up. It's usually not a surprise when you have big change of command, if you will, going on. But the Community Action Council has always come out shining like a well-polished pearl. You expect nothing different. And then there was one other thing. I'm trying to look at my notes here. Maybe I was wrong, but that's the gist of it. Other than that, it's just budget time starting up again. We'll be doing the same thing, and it's really business as usual. The hardworking men and women and staff at the CAC, they just keep doing that, keep working hard and trying to improve people's lives. So that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that they've obviously helped out a lot of people. Lots of dollars coming through the CAC. That's for sure. So our last person is Councilmember Kunkel. Do you have a report?
I do. Thank you. So Lacey Southbound Chamber, we had our forum yesterday, and Rick Walk was our guest speaker, gave us a great update on economic development, present and future in Lacey. And we'll be seeing some more multifamily housing being brought to our community, as well as important community resources and commercial enterprise. There's lots of activity going on in the Lacey Chamber. August 19th, we will have a ribbon cutting for Vert Chiropractic on Lacey Boulevard near Cabinets by Chivana. August 21st, the Chamber will host the Southtown Cider Fest at Views on Fifth, downtown in Olympia. And on November 20th, the Chamber will host Sip, Savor, and Shop event, the Holiday Bazaar at the Hotel RL. The Military Affairs Group has been stagnant for quite some time, but they are going to be doing meetings again starting in November, date and time and location to be determined. And we currently have 365 Lacey Chamber members on our rolls that are actively participating in the Chamber. We also had our SWAC meeting on the 4th yesterday. We spent some time critiquing our current bylaws and talked briefly about the plastic bag ban that should be coming up soon again in September. There was also an interest from many of the board members to run another education campaign to encourage our community to recycle properly. That has been an ongoing issue, whether the recyclables are clean and able to be utilized. This has been an issue for quite some time. And that is my report.
Well, with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. So it's good seeing everyone. Everyone has a great weekend. Looks like we might finally get a little rain on Saturday, much needed, but I certainly enjoyed the nice weather. And so until next time, without objection, I'll call this meeting adjourned. And as always, you keep it classy, Lacey. See you next time.